and sew your eyelids back on. And so I was on the car drive up to here in Beverly Hills to get the surgery done, and I get a phone call from this lady. If you're injured in a violent crime in California, there's a program called the Victims Compensation Program. I hate the word victim, but that's what they call it. And what they do is they help you out with your medical bills, they help you out with your rent, things like that, and surgeries. So I was through Mercy Care on the way up to get this surgery in Beverly Hills, and the lady called me and she was crying. What the hell now? And she said, sorry, you gotta turn around and go home. There's gonna be no surgery. Like, it's scheduled already. They told me to come be at the hospital at 12 on Wednesday when the surgery is at 12 on Thursday. And she said, yeah, I'm really sorry, there was a problem with the paperwork that you filled out. So if you fill out paperwork and you says, do you plan to file a civil suit? I'm filling this paperwork out with no eye in my head. I had no idea what the implications of that were. There's no lawyers there, nobody there to clarify what's going on. So when you check yes, I'm gonna file a civil suit. I thought that just meant, we're gonna press charges against the guy that hurt you. Well, it turns out that if you check that box, then that absolves them of having to help you. Because you're gonna file a civil suit, and you can just use your money from your civil suit that you haven't even filed yet, or don't even have an attorney yet for, and pay for these things. And so I was just destitute. I was like, oh shit, now what am I gonna do? So I had to turn around and drive back to San Diego, and all the medical care that I was getting was just like the rug was pulled out from under me. And so I found my way to a special chiropractor in downtown San Diego who focuses on neurological rehabilitation. And as I said, I couldn't sleep for, the first few months. I probably slept maybe an hour, hour and a half at night. And it was painful just to get up and use the bathroom. And so I went down to this chiropractor and he says, hey, I want you to start going for a walk every day for 2 miles. Get up, move your body, because that movement will kind of reintegrate your nervous system and recalibrate things. And I said, yeah, you want me to go walk 2 miles a day? He goes, yeah. And I go, yeah, well, you can go fuck yourself 2 times a day. Okay? Because I'm not gonna get up and walk. I don't have the energy to do it. But I mustered up the energy, started walking 2 miles a day, and my brain just really started like rewiring. He was right. I was doing Pilates twice a week, getting adjusted a couple times a week by him, and all of a sudden, I started having hope. I was doing Pilates, I was doing chiropractic, I was walking, 2 mile walk turned into a 5 mile walk, and then I would just like use the GPS on the phone and try to beat my time from yesterday, go just a little bit faster today. Walked out at Mission Beach in San Diego. How many people have been down to San Diego before Mission Beach? My favorite place in the world. And so what happened was I started to work with this chiropractor as a patient, and then I decided to go back to work after about 18 months of being out of work. Okay? And where I went to work was, I had my own business prior to that. I did small business solutions for Nextel, Sprint, and Verizon, doing all these really cool things with phones. And next thing you know, I'm like, got a job for $8 an hour working at a bird store, selling birds. And so it's just a totally divergent thing. And then I stopped working there, and I went back to work for another company selling phones, and showed up to work one day about 6 months after that, and the front door was locked. Okay, and they're like, oh, sorry, we've been downsized. Okay, and it's not like we're gonna shift you to a new location. It's just, this one's closed. Have a nice day, please drive through, pay the cashier. And so then again, it's like, okay, well, now what am I gonna do? What's next? What's next? And so I was in my early 40s at the time, and I was like, okay, I wanted to maybe the Pilates and the physical therapy stuff really helped me a lot. And I thought, well, I'll go to school and learn how to become a physical therapist. And then I went and looked at the program, and they're like, oh yeah, you gotta go. It's a 3-year program, you're gonna be in school all this time. And so I was like, that's a long road to go on. And so I found this health coach training program. It was an online training program, 12-month program. I signed up for that and started to learn how to, what do you want to do? Well, I want to work with people. I want to help people recover their lost health. I want to help people figure out what are the right things to eat, how to move their body, how they can sleep, how they can manage their stress. And the health coach training program seemed to be like a good option because it was 12 months. It was like, oh, you'll be a health coach. But what they didn't tell you in the health coach training program is there's this thing called scope of practice. We have heard of that before, okay? So it was like, oh, well, we're going to teach you how to do all these things with people, but if you're in California, for example, you really can't do any of those things, okay? Because you're limited by the laws, all right? And so about 6 months into the program, the doctor that I was working with as a patient invited me to come do some lectures at his office. I was focusing as a health coach on gluten and celiac disease. I have celiac disease, so I was like, okay, well, what do you want to be? Well, I want to be a gluten-free empowerment coach. Okay, and I'm going to help people transition to a gluten-free lifestyle, if they have that kind of thing going on. And so I thought that was a pretty good, shift from where I was to where I wanted to be. And about 6 months of the way through the program, the doctor invited me to come to his clinic and start doing talks. And we were doing weekly talks on celiac disease. I got a few patients to work with me as a health coach, and that was really cool. And then one of the other things that we did is we went to City College. They were having this thing called a stand down. Has anybody ever heard of that before, stand down? What they do basically, and this is sad, but they round up all the homeless military veterans. Okay, we shouldn't even have military veterans that are homeless, but we do. And so what they do is they provide resources. They'll set up tents, and they'll give them food, and they'll give them showers. And a group of chiropractic students came down from the school in LA in Whittier called Southern California University of Health Sciences. And we were just having a nice little conversation about neurology and the brain injuries and nutrition. And they said, gosh, chiropractors work on all those things. And so I got on my motorcycle, and I drove up from San Diego. I went to the school, and I showed up at the school, and I don't know if you can see this logo on here, but it kind of looks like a Pleiadian angel. And I thought, wow, that's a real powerful synchronicity. And at 43, after having a brain injury and not being the greatest student in the first place, I was like, going to chiropractic school was an option. And I went in and I applied, and I filled out all the paperwork. And I was sitting there waiting in the lobby, and nobody came to talk to me for a little while, so I was like, all right, got my motorcycle helmet, walked back out to my motorcycle, and this really great lady came running down the hallway. She's like, where are you going? Why are you leaving? And I'm like, well, I'm just gonna go back to San Diego. She's like, no, man, you're in. And they accepted me into the program. And so in January of 2013, I started the chiropractic program at Southern California University of Health Sciences in Whittier. And this is a 3.5-year-long program, and it's basically like this, okay? You stand there, I'm gonna point this fire hose at you, and you try to take a sip out of it. Okay? It's really intense, fast-paced program, and there's no opportunity to sit back and just take it easy. It's super incredibly intense. And made it through that program. And 3.5 years later, graduated in April of 2016 and decided to take myself back down to San Diego to work with the chiropractor who had inspired me. And I was working at his office for probably about 5 or 6 months after I graduated. You have to take national board exams, and they're only offered at certain times. And then once you pass that, you go and apply for your license. So I ended up getting my license in March of 2017. And I started out with, just a little table and a 100 square foot room and a gym, and started building my practice that way. And then about a year and a half after being in practice, I got into hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Has anybody ever done hyperbaric oxygen therapy? Or heard about it? Heard about it, but not done it? Okay, that's great. And while I was in chiropractic school, I had a second concussion from playing soccer. And I found my way to a hyperbaric center in Long Beach. And I would say that if I hadn't been able to do the hyperbaric therapy in Long Beach, I wouldn't have been able to finish the chiropractic program. So it was really kind of fortuitous that I was able to start that treatment. And she said you need to come 5 days a week for like 8 weeks. And we were in classes, and so that wasn't super possible. But the healing that I got from just doing the once a week with the hyperbaric was absolutely amazing. So I had made a commitment at that point that I was going to be doing hyperbaric therapy as a clinician. And so in July 4th, actually, Independence Day of 2018, I rolled up here to Santa Fe Springs and loaded up my first hyperbaric chamber. And now I have 3 hyperbaric chambers at my practice, and it's a range of people that I treat, concussion, strokes, long COVID, general athletic injuries and things like that. So it's been really amazing. And then in 2022, February 22nd, 2022, see all the twos. Okay, this lady called me. She worked for this company that was selling these quantum technologies, like the Tesla lights and a Rife machine and this bioresonance analysis system that is also out of this world. And so I started to kind of veer off from the hyperbaric and chiropractic path and started adding in these quantum technologies. And so the biophotonic light system is the one that I have downstairs. And I'll show you what it looks like in my practice. I don't know if you guys can see this, but these are the 6 Tesla coils that I have in my practice. And they're set up like a Merkaba. The one at the top over here is an alternating current box. And the one down by the feet over there is a direct current box. And each one of the carousels is filled with these different noble gases. So when you light up the noble gases with the Tesla coils, you're creating a harmonic resonant field of plasma that is like the packets that come from solar flares. How many people have heard that solar flares are sending like packets of data that's activating your DNA? You have heard that? Okay, so how about going from the 3D to the 5D? We used the word ascension, and you may be having ascension symptoms. Well, this is what's happening. The Earth has what we call the Schumann resonance. Back in the 1950s, scientists discovered this, and it was like basically the electromagnetic heartbeat of the Earth. And then somebody else simultaneously was working on humans, and they said, well, this is really interesting because the gamma brain waves of a human are almost the same exact frequency as the Schumann resonance that's coming from the Earth. So that's really interesting because it's almost as if we're synchronized with that. And now we have all these massive solar flares coming in from the central sun, from the local sun, and they're activating your DNA and bringing us to collective consciousness, higher consciousness. And so in a lot of respects, what these devices do is they mimic the solar flares. And you lay on this table here in between the carousels, and you can just feel the energy running through your body. And you can feel, what does that feel like? What does it feel like when your DNA is activated? That's pretty interesting, because it's not hot or cold or sharp or burning. It's not like a sensation that you normally have. There's a few people in the room that have actually done the Tesla lights. If you've done the Tesla lights, okay. And so that's one of the really powerful things that I am very fond of offering. And then we started doing groups of 8 people on Tuesday nights and Friday nights. We call it the Active 8. So active with the number 8 at the end. Okay, so we create conscious collective energy, and we did things like slow down hurricanes that were barreling towards Florida. Everybody's aware about the fires that were up here in Los Angeles and San Diego, and we we did rain dances. We had some cool rain dance music, and we play drums, and we sing, and we chant, and we hold hands, and we create conscious intentions. So that's something that's been really exciting to do. It's also good to get your social activations in. The next thing I'll share with you is this thing called the bioresonance analysis. And basically, this machine uses these sensors. You can see the headphones there. And they have specialized sensors in them that are able to read through the frequencies of your body. So each cell has a very unique frequency, depending on what part of the body it is. It could be the nervous system, it could be the cardiovascular system with veins and arteries, it could be the nervous system, it could be the organs themselves. We can analyze the heart from different angles, vessels from the front, the vessels from the back, above, below, cut it in half. And it's pretty amazing what we can see going on. And so this picture right here on the side is when you do the energy mapping and the frequency measurements, you get a little code that tells you where it is. Is it an optimal level or is it at a suboptimal level? And in fact, if we find your frequency measurement to be at a suboptimal level, we're able to use this device to tune that to the proper level. And it's really amazing. And it brings up a lot of interesting discussions about us as an electromagnetic being, us as a frequency organism, how we're affected by these solar flares, how we're affected by the Schumann resonance changing, and what are the things that we can do to kind of calibrate those energies. And we can harmonize those energies and frequencies using the same machine that scanned you and analyzed you. So it's really powerful. One of the other things that's kind of come up that's interesting from doing these scans is that there's certain microorganisms that seem to show up repeatedly, regardless of who we're scanning. So we said, okay, we talked about the medical merry-go-round before, right? The typical, just get a prescription, take it to the pharmacy and fill that prescription. This is very different. And so people come in and they've been dealing with issues, inflammatory issues, autoimmune issues, long COVID, all kinds of different issues. And they'll come and do a couple sessions and they'll say, I've been to like 8 different people. And they've all tried this, and they tried that, and nothing made me feel as good as this thing made me feel. Because I think actually bringing in the conversation about the microorganisms and how those microorganisms are having an effect, they basically are stealing energy from your body. Think parasite, okay? Bacteria, virus, fungus, mold, all these things interfere with the natural processes of your cells. Your body has a whole autoregulatory system, which is for detoxification. Your lungs, your skin, mucous membranes throughout your body, and we're exposed to all these amazing, terrible toxins in the environment. The smoke from the fires, the 5G from the cell phone towers, the Wi-Fi in your house. All these things are affecting your body in the way that they work. But we can address them in a lot of ways, but this thing really addresses it from the microorganism perspective. And I think one of the cool things that we can do with the system is we can make these unique files. So if we find Giardia in your pancreas, which I find 100% of the time when we look, then we send you home with a little what's called sound biotic, instead of antibiotic. So we all know about how sound baths and tuning forks and singing bowls, and you guys were on the vibration plate over there before. So frequency, sound, and vibration have very healing effects on a bioenergetic organism. And so I really think that this is going to be more of the future of the way that healthcare goes, because it's important to understand those things. How many people have ever heard of Raymond Royal Rife? Rife, okay. So back in 1932, Dr. Rife, he had developed these plasma devices And he was originally, if you've ever been in a science class in high school and used a microscope, that's actually a la Royal Reich. He was an optics specialist, and he studied in Germany for 7 years, and he created this amazing microscope, and the microscope was able to see inside the cells like 35 times more powerful than an electron microscope. And what he was seeing was frequencies. He would notice, okay, well, this thing right here, it has this very unique frequency. And it might be the frequency of a parasite. And so then they came up with these plasma tubes. You can see in the picture, I don't know if this thing has a pointer or not. Let's see. It reflects off. And those plasma frequencies, just like an opera singer, okay? We go, ah, and the glass shatters. So we're using frequencies to destroy the cell membranes of these pathogens. And he cataloged hundreds and hundreds of different microorganisms, and he even started pushing this whole belief that cancer is caused by the low energetic state within your cells. And that low energetic state in your cells can be attributed to more than just the other environmental things that we talked about, but these pathogens, microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, all the fun stuff. And these machines are designed to destroy those. So in 1932, he went to Scripps in La Jolla and treated 16 terminal cancer patients with his machine, the Rife machine, and guess what? They were all cured. Okay, 1932. So all these scientists, they published a paper about it. Look, all these scientists came from around the world. They were having a black tie event for Dr. Rife in San Diego, and who kicks the door down and tells them to cut the shit out? It's the American Medical Association. Okay, because why would that be? Anybody want to conjecture?
Money.
Sorry. Right. And it's, I feel like we can acknowledge that without giving it power, without giving it energy, because we have these other emerging things. And people, well, the future of medicine is this frequency medicine. And you're going, yeah, but these guys developed these things in the 1920s, in the 1930s. The system that I have downstairs, Nikola Tesla gave a speech in 1898 in Buffalo, New York, to the American Biotherapeutic Association. And what he was talking about, this gets a little bit deep, but is the cells are voltage gated. They have what's called a transmembrane potential. You know, when you go to the grocery store and you step on the mat and the door opens up? Okay, that's electrical gated doorway. Actually, I want some shoes that have those pads in them. And every time I walk up to a door, I'm like, so the plasma activations are amazing. How many people have ever heard of Otto Warburg? A couple hands went up. Okay, so same thing. Otto Warburg in the 1920s discovered the root cause of cancer. And this guy won a Nobel Prize in 1931 for his discovery about the root cause of cancer. Who wants to know what it is? Raise your hand if you want to know what it is. It's not sugar. People say, well, it's sugar because it feeds those tumor cells, right? But sugar feeds every cell in your body. Okay, glucose, complex carbohydrate, is the primary fuel. Your car runs on gas, unless it's a hybrid or electric and you plug it in. It's the same thing with your cells. They run on glucose. So yes, glucose can feed a cancer cell, but what Otto Warburg decided was that it really came down to oxygen. Okay? You either have enough oxygen in your system, and what do we call the pathogens? The microbes, the bacteria, the fungus. Anybody know what they're called, technically? Anaerobic pathogens. And what does that mean? It means they survive when there's not enough oxygen in the system. They thrive in a low oxygen state. And so what causes a low oxygen state? Acidity. He called it the anti-physiological lifestyle. So he has this whole list of things that you can avoid that create acidity in your body and destroy the oxygenation. And you might be disappointed, but it's anything that came from an animal. Okay? Meat, dairy, eggs, fish. Because what's the building blocks of a protein? And so if your body is sick because it's too acidic, then the physiological lifestyle that minimizes and preferably avoids those acidic foods leads to a high oxygen state. So you have one of two choices. You can either have enough oxygen and those pathogens can't survive, or you can have an acidic environment. And that acidosis causes the cells, in an attempt to survive, it causes them to start mass replicating. This was what he considered to be the root cause of cancer. It was a defense mechanism, a built-in defense mechanism. And we're coming along and going, well, look, these cancer cells are the problem. But the cancer cells are like, I stepped on something and I got a scab on my foot. Let's put a Band-Aid on the scab instead of sweeping up the thumbtacks that I stepped on. You know? So this takes everything to a whole new level of understanding. We're using frequency medicine, we're using hyperbaric oxygen, we're using lifestyle medicine. So I teach people how to evolve their lifestyle, so they're eating the foods that are feeding their cells. Your immune system, about 70% of your immune system is founded upon the gut microbiome. Okay, and so there's things that we can do to fortify the gut microbiome and boost your immune function. And most of the time that involves eliminating those animal foods. Okay, it's not like a terrible life sentence because you'll be actually really healthy. I'm standing here right now and I haven't eaten anything with meat in it since 1987. Right? I have not ever had any problems with protein deficiencies. What you really need to be worried about, because the first thing that people ask me when I tell them I have been eating meat since 1987 is, somebody tell it.
Where do you get your protein?
Exactly. Where do I get my protein? All right, well, protein deficiencies are very rare. Okay? Less than 3% of the population has a protein deficiency. Here's something really important to consider. 97% of you don't get enough fiber in your diet. Okay? Fiber can be considered the prebiotic fuel for those gut bacteria that produce your immune function. Okay, so it's a whole entire cyclical thing. But, you know, yes, I am a chiropractor, and you probably have images of chiropractors, you know, that's like cracking somebody's neck or whatever, but there's a lot of different ways of going about doing things. And so my approach is to incorporate all these lifestyle considerations, and I've gone down this pathway of doing all this quantum activation stuff. So anyway, go ahead.
Is there an opening in the mind of humanity to bring this stuff back in a way?
There is, but what's interesting is that being here at the Conscious Life Expo has really opened my mind, because I came and I'm like, I am a champion of this technology and it's for everybody, and come on everybody, let's do this, you know? And the reality is that what we found when we're downstairs doing the booth is that some people will walk by and some people walk around the corner and they go, wow, what is this? I want to try it. Okay? And so what we found is that some people are a little bit more primed and ready to do this, and we can't just cast a big giant net and capture everybody. So what we're doing is we're healing the healers. And we're working with people that are massage therapists and acupuncturists and other chiropractors and other energy healers. Everybody's into like doing Reiki energy. It's really cool. We like it. It does work. But does anybody else have any other questions? Because I think we have about 1 minute left. If you want to know why it burns when you pee, talk to me after this session. Nothing?
Is that machines and the headphones, do you have to calibrate that from time to time? And does it measure stress levels? Like, could it be off because your stress levels are so high?
Absolutely. So when we do the advanced analysis, we can look at the microorganisms, we can look at pathology, we can look at food sensitivities, but we can also look at the emotional components. And you can't ignore those emotional components as they happen. They don't have to be calibrated, because that machine reads you each time, and then what we get is a series of scans that we can compare. Like, look, last time you were here, this time you're here. And we can use that to, do the sound biotics, sound therapy combined with the right frequency to break the pathogens.
Because we went to something in the EPS center where he had that, but he didn't have the healing. He just said,
Right, it's
this
just
is wrong with you. It's not
right.
wrong with
Sometimes
you."
people are just doing things that are scanning you, and it's like this system is doing both a scan and a treatment at the same time. So I'm downstairs in booth 90. I would like to invite all of you to come down and check out the Tesla lights. We're doing a 12-minute session for $33.69. Tesla said that if you want to understand the keys to the universe, think in terms of the 3, the 6, and the 9. So that's pretty powerful. Anyway, I really appreciate all you guys coming here and let me tell my story. It's been wonderful. Hope to see you back here in 2026.